Okay, my name is Lane Liston. I'm the owner of the Turning Shed. Today I'm going to break down my product, a guide to bolt coring. Bolt coring is being able to take a single blank of wood and make multiple blanks out of the same piece, making it so that you have less waste and you also have more product that you can turn. I noticed there was a lot of systems out there to bolt coring that you could get multiple pieces out of the same piece, and that really intrigued me and made me think, well, that's what I want to do. I started noticing that other people are using the one-way bolt coring system, and I really liked that because I could see that that system was a predictable arc, that when the knife went into the wood, you'd be able to get predictable results every time. So I just started taking notes on the pieces, the sizes I was coring, and what that looked like, the thickness and the width. And then I could notice that if I had a similar piece, then I didn't have to reinvent that again. I could just use the measurements that I had previously. But it started me thinking that since it is a predictable arc and that you can know where it's going, that if I were to take the time to take different sizes and thicknesses of wood, that I could make templates that would tell me exactly where I was going to go, which knife I needed to use, where the base plate was going to be, and I could get predictable results every time. So by knowing the width of the blank and the depth of the blank with those two measurements, you can go to the chart and to the template and know exactly, have a diagram of how many pieces you're going to get out of that, which knives to use, where to go into the blank, and know every time that that's the results that you're going to get. So we need to measure across the surface, across the top. That is approximately 11 5/8. And then we need to know the thickness, not including the tenon, just the thickness from the face to the front of the tenon. So we have 3.5 inches. So 3.5 by 11 5/8. With those two measurements, you're able to come to the template book. This is a book with it has all the different sizes in it, but you'll want to turn to the one that corresponds to the measurement that you have. So we're 3.5 by 11 5/8. So this starts out at 8 inches to 8 7/8 and then goes up from there. So the one that matches the 3.5 by 11 5/8 is this template, and each template is going to have the measurement. So this is going to be 11 inch to 11 7/8 by 3.5 inches in height. And then it shows you, here's your chuck, this is your tenon, and from the front of the chuck to here, it will show you exactly what you're going to get. Each template has two things in it. It has this template, which is what we'll put on the face to be able to know from the center out what we're going to need, where we mark it, and then this line represents the outside of the bowl. And I'll show you that in just a minute. And then also inside is this template, which represents the distance from the front of the chuck to the front of the base plate. And so it tells you the first core, the template will be pointed this direction, and then when you go to the second core, I'll be using the same number 1 knife, but it will be moved in slightly so that you get your second core out of it. So if we turn the blank over to get ready to core it, we're going to put this mark on the center, and then even though this is where the bowl is at, we're going to go to center, but then we're going to move this out so that this lines up with the outside of the bowl, and then we'll mark it for the second core and then the first core. So this is where the knife will go into the wood at this point. So this will be the second core, and this will be the first core, and we'll be using the first knife for both of those. The templates that I've made are made specifically for the one-way coring system. And in the one-way coring system, they have the base plate that you get separately, and then you purchase the knives with separately from the system. So I know a lot of people, there's 4 different knives. There's the number 1, 2, 3, and 4 knife, and you don't have to have all of the knives, but it just makes it a lot more versatile that you can, no matter what size the bull blank is, you're able to have a knife that works with it. But if all you had is the number 1 and the number 2 knife, then you would be able to still be successful on a lot of the bulls. And what we're coring today, we only need the number 1. We need to put the piece of wood that we've got ready back onto the lathe. Make sure that it's tight and secure. And walnut is a pretty hard wood. So make sure that is seated in there good and that it's tight. A marker on and just follow that line. When I originally started making the templates, I wanted to have it be something that if other people were interested, that they would be able to use the same templates that I was using. Each lathe is different, and so I made it so that the templates, as long as you're from the front of the chuck, so the base of your blank going forward, it will give you the correct measurements every time. So this is the base plate template, as it clearly says, and this is representing the first core with the number 1 knife. There's also a measurement of what this distance is. As long as we know that this is the number 1 core and the number 1 knife, that's all the information we really need to know as a reference. So we put this on here, and then we move it as long as it's within the 11 to 11 7/8. We just put it right in between there, and then we're able to get it where it needs to be, and then kind of tighten it just a little bit. The next thing you're going to want to do is line up your knife to hit this point right here. So this is our first core. We're going to slightly move this over until it hits that mark. And come just a little bit more right there. And once we have that in position, then we're able to lock it down. And we can remove our template so it doesn't get wet. And then we want to move this finger. This is what's initially is going to be here. And then as we get in a little bit, then we'll move this guide to help support the knife as it goes in.
Cool.
So once we have this established and we know where this is going in, we can make our first cut. For me, once it gets into this point right here, into the piece, that's where I want to stop it so that we continue to have support. This stays where it is. We loosen this and put it in. And this is a support for this, and you want to make sure that you're right in line with it, and then make sure that it can spin freely, and once you've got it positioned and tightened back down again. It's not tightened here, this is free to move. And once you establish that it can spin and that this is in line with it, then we can start again. So that is our first core, and it's not huge, but you could still get a little bowl making out of it, making this a 3-bowl set. So we have the first core out of our piece of wood, and now we're going to get our second core. We're going to be using the same knife, the knife number 1, but it's going to be the second core. So we'll put our template in place, and we'll loosen the base plate. We'll make sure that we're on the second core, still with the knife number 1, and we'll just slide it in till it meets our template. So as long as that's coming in the right spot, then we can tighten our base plate back down. We don't have to think about it anymore because we know that we've already seen what it's going to look like, and we know that if we make these cuts, we're going to get the same results as what's pictured. So let's take number 2. It's important to have the knife follow the support finger in. I didn't on one of them, and it grabbed it and it bent the knife. So, and they're very expensive, so you don't want that to happen. So it's better to have more support than no support. We're ready to go then. On bigger pieces, I would usually stop here and follow in. In fact, actually, let's do this. We just have a little bit more to go to finish this one, but let's put it in and make sure that we have the support we need. You know that when you're parallel to the bowl that you've gone almost there, so you could just stop it and take the piece out. So so there's the second, so our second core, our first core, our second core, and our main core. Clean that out just a little bit. This is really pretty walnut wood. So in the past, what I would end up with is just one piece. And so it's great to be able to come up to have 3 pieces out of one. Thank you for watching today. I hope that you saw that by using this template system that you're able to save a lot of time that only took a few minutes to mark out the bowl blank once you had it to a point to be marked, that it only took just a minute or 2 to do that once you had the 2 measurements, and then that you were able to get predictable results and you didn't have to think about it anymore, that you knew that this is what you're going to end up with. So I think that's pretty great. They're able to get 3 out of what potentially could have only been just the 1. If you're interested in learning more about this product that I have available, you can go to theturningshed.com or my Instagram, theturningshed, and there's more information there. Thanks for watching.